we're taught from a young age that it's better to be a giver than it is a receiver. That we should aim and aspire to identify the needs of others and to try and fill them instead of trying to amass and accumulate all sorts of stuff. And I think we're taught this partially as a safeguard against the egotism, even we could say narcissism of parts of American culture. And indeed, I would say that in terms of character development in general, it's better to be focused on others and not necessarily on oneself. However, there are important exceptions to this principle. And those exceptions include times in which receiving is actually an act of giving. We see an example of this in our parshat, in lech, lecha. After Avraham makes it to Eretz Yisrael, there is a famine, and alas, he has to leave. Vayihi ra'av ba'aretz, vayered Avraham Mitzrayma. He has to go to Egypt in order to find food. But he's afraid of what's going to happen when he gets to the border. And so he devises a plan with his wife, Sarah, that she will identify not as his wife, but rather as his sister. In describing to Sarah this plan, Avraham says the following: Imrina achoti at, say that you are my sister, lama'an yitav li ba'avurech, so that it will be good for me, v'chayta nafshi biglalech, and I will live on account of you saying this is your relationship to me. The commentaries are bothered with this middle part of the pasuk, lama'an yitav li ba'avurech. What is Abraham referring to, that it'll be good for me on your account? Isn't Abraham just trying to save his life? So what is this referring to? Rashi fills in the blanks and says, Yitnu li matanot, that Abraham is seeking gifts from Paro. This seems quite odd, quite strange. Why is it that Abraham would be wanting gifts from Paro? In his commentary, Darash David, Rabbi Hofstadter gives the following suggestion. He says sometimes nitila shehi nitina is virtuous, that taking, which is really giving, is a noble thing to do. When Abraham was seeking gifts from Paro, his strategy was in order to develop a rapport and a relationship with the statesmen who were around Paro and Paro himself. Building that relationship with them was strategic in the sense that he would be able to transact Torah across that relationship. He would be able to spread the good word, to spread the teachings of ethical monotheism, now that those relationships were in play. And so sometimes we see that gift receiving can also be an act of giving if it's about the relationship that is about to ensue and not about the material goods themselves. And we see a proof that this is Abraham's motivation for wanting the gifts and to be a receiver of gifts at the end of his life, when he takes the matanot and he doesn't keep them for himself. Ulivnei hapelagshim asher la'Avraham natan Avraham matanot. And he gives the gifts to the children of his concubines. Which gifts are these? The commentaries say these are the gifts that Paro gave to Avraham. Avraham was a receiver of gifts because he was using it for a more noble purpose, in order to be Makadesh Shem Shemayim in the long run. And we see that from the fact that Avraham did not even benefit from the gifts himself directly, and that he passed them on to somebody else. And so Avraham indeed was able to fulfill the virtue of Sonei Matanot Yichya, that someone who detests gifts will live well. That we shouldn't be wanting to accumulate things for our own personal gain, but rather we should receive gifts in order to facilitate loving relationships with the giver. With that message in mind, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you in Shul.